Hi there, Joey Malloy here with Implementa. Welcome back to our little series on being relationally responsible. If you haven't yet, reach out to me personally. I'd love to connect and set up a time where we can meet. Love to hear what's going on in your ministry, to share back and forth, encourage one another, pray together. And it would be a real blessing for me to be able to meet with you. So feel free to reach out, info@implementa.ca, and I'll look forward to hearing from you. Well, we're in the second of a three-part series on what it means to be relationally responsible. Last time we looked at the reality that a relationally responsible person prayed for their students and prayed with their students, both proactively and reactively, really foundational in good relationship. Second thing we looked at is that a relationally responsible person connected regularly. And in our sort of quote-unquote normal times, normal seasons of ministry, we have our youth group nights, our Sunday mornings, we go to their hockey games or their plays or what have you, and it's very natural to connect with them. In this season that we're in the middle of this pandemic, we want to make sure that we're being creative, but also very determined in making sure that we connect regularly with our students. And the third thing we looked at is that relationally responsible people connect personally. They know who their students are. They at least know their names and something about their students personally to show them and to honor them by showing them that they are an individual loved by God and, of course, loved by you, their youth leader. Well, this time we want to look at three more characteristics of a relationally responsible person. Relationally responsible people are purposeful, they pay attention, and they take good notes. First one is this, or fourth one, depending on how you're keeping track. Relationally responsible people connect purposefully. Romans 1 verse 11, Paul is speaking to the church at Rome, of course, and he says, "For I long to visit you, so I can bring you some spiritual gift that will help you grow strong in the Lord." Now, Paul is writing to the church at Rome, and he's saying to them, listen, I want to meet with you. I long to meet with you. I can't wait to see you again. But the purpose for my visit will be so that I can give you some sort of spiritual gift that will help you grow strong in the Lord. Students today, Gen Z in particular, live in a world where relationship is defined by acceptance and love. You do not love me unless you accept me. And it's kind of created up relationships, peer relationships, where everyone just sort of pats each other on the back, and no matter what's happening, no matter what you're doing, it's a great decision, everything's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And it leads to a world where there's very few challenges being made from student to student. The relationship we have with students, of course, is so much different, not just generationally, age-wise, but it's also a difference in how we interact with the students. And while it's very relational, it's also very purposeful. We are there to help them grow spiritually, to help them grow strong in the Lord. And so that needs to be well defined as we're reaching out to our students. Now, that doesn't mean that we kind of swing the pendulum to the other extreme, that every time they say anything, we immediately transition it to our favorite Bible verse, our favorite sermon, and jump right up on our soapbox and start preaching at them. Not at all. But what it is saying is that there's an understanding in the relationship, that this relationship exists so that I can be a part of you growing stronger in the Lord. I want to be a part of your spiritual journey. Much like we would say to parents, your primary role is to be your student's parent, not their best friend. They have lots of friends. They really only have one set of parents. And it's the same thing with the youth workers. Our role is to be there primarily and purposefully to help them grow strong in the Lord. Okay, relationally responsible people pay attention. Philippians 2 verse 4 says, "Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others as well." Of course, I think we know. We all together live in a very narcissistic society. We care about ourselves. Back when I first started out in youth ministry, we used to call this a Polaroid syndrome. And this idea that no matter what size the room is, no matter where we are, whenever we walk into a room, we always feel like the cameras are all on us. You know, like everybody's paying attention to what's going on in our world. And we're just consumed with what are people thinking about us as we walk around the room. Of course, that can't possibly be true if everybody was thinking the same way, because nobody would really be thinking about anybody other than themselves, which, by the way, is usually what's happening. And so we live in a world where we tend to think about ourselves. Paul's saying to us, listen, pay attention to others. look out for their interests as well. So a relationally responsible person looks out and tries to pay attention to what's going on in another person's lives, in the students' lives. So for example, if you have a gal in your group and she's a bit of a talker, I have a daughter like that, a little bit of verbal diarrhea. She comes to small group and she's always the one to lead out and to talk and to share the stories and laughs the loudest and has the most fun and really is good for the group because she keeps the conversation going. If all of a sudden she shows up one week and she's just not that chatty, she's not smiling quite as much, she's maybe got her head down, she's not engaged the way she normally is, pay attention to that. It's probably something that you want to follow up on, maybe in a message afterwards, or taking her aside after a small group and just saying, hey, I noticed you're not feeling as much fun tonight. Is everything okay? How can I pray for you? Do you want to talk? And of course, with that relationship that you have with her, hopefully there's an opportunity there. So you're paying attention to what's going on in the students' lives. So relationally responsible people pay attention. The third thing is, or the sixth thing, is that relationally responsible people take good notes. Look at Psalm 139, verse 16, a wonderful psalm, but just a little nugget of I think, curious information here. You saw me before I was born. Every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment laid out before a single day had passed. So what David's saying here is, he's saying, before anything happened, you wrote it all down. Now, why would an omniscient God want to write everything down? I don't know, to be honest with you. It seems to me he would know it all. But it certainly gives us a bit of a clue as to how we should be paying attention and being curious and writing things down with our students. I work at a summer camp as part of my other professional life, and love my job with the camp. I spend a lot of time with my staff and trying to encourage them and develop them into the godly leaders that they desire to be, and so forth. And one thing I do, and I've always done this, even going back to my youth ministry days, is I've just got a journal. And when I sit down with somebody, I just pull it open and I start writing. And I just want to write down things that they're saying, even things that I might be kind of picking up on from what they're saying. And I'll just write it down. Oftentimes I'll ask them for permission, and they don't seem to care. In fact, a lot of times they're honored that somebody would care enough to take notes. And I'll write it down. And then when I'm going back and praying for the students, I have some notes to actually pray over. I'm not trusting my memory. And then when I meet with them the next time, I can pull open the book and go, hey, last time you were talking about how important it was to you to make that team. How'd that go anyway? Or you were struggling with, this spiritual principle or this attribute of God. How's that working out? Or I've been praying for you on this specific area. What's going on there? And by taking notes, you're doing a couple of things at least. One, you're helping yourself remember everything there is to know about the student, which we've already established is very important. But two, you're signaling to them that they matter enough that you're taking notes. When we go back to the passage in the Psalms, I'm not sure the point of David writing this down is that God needs to write everything down about him before everything was born because God might forget. What he's actually saying is how valuable I must be if you're taking the time to think about my life in that kind of detail, that you write everything down before I'm even born. Wow, what a great God you are, and how much you must love me. And that's the signaling that we send relationally to students when we take good notes. So, relationally responsible people, they meet purposefully. They have a reason for why they meet with their students. They pay attention to what's going on in their students' lives and the subtle changes from day to day with the students. And they take good notes so that they can remember and so that they can signal to the students how important they really are to them. Hope that helps a little bit. I'll look forward to our final session next time as we continue to talk about what it means to be relationally responsible.